She said she loved you and then disappeared. No warning, no logic, just silence. How does someone speak devotion on Tuesday and walk away by Friday? Simple. You trusted her lips, but you ignored her eyes, her patterns, her hesitation. And in this modern dating war zone, trusting words over behavior is like bringing a poem to a gunfight. Here's the brutal truth. What she says isn't who she is. It's who she wants to be. Or worse, who she wants you to think she is. But behavior is primal. It's unconscious. It's impossible to fake for long. Words are rehearsed. Behavior is reflex. Nietzsche once warned that we lie most to ourselves, but in relationships, the most seductive lies are the ones spoken aloud with soft eyes and soft voices. I'm not like other girls. I want something serious. I'd never do that to you. Sound familiar, but Schopenhauer, ever the cynic, reminded us that the will, our true nature, always overpowers intellect. She may believe what she's saying in the moment, but when instinct kicks in, self-interest, hypergamy, fear, chaos, the mask slips, not with a bang, with a pattern. She texts less. She avoids plans. She laughs a little too loud with someone else. You feel it, the shift, but you cling to her last sweet sentence like it's gospel. That's the trap. Because men are trained, socially, emotionally, even spiritually, to believe in the promise of words. But in the realm of desire, promise is irrelevant. Action is everything. Carl Jung spoke of the unconscious shadow, those parts of the self that remain hidden even from one's own awareness. In modern dating, female behavior often reveals that shadow. You want to know who she is. Watch how she acts when no one's watching. Not when she's performing affection, but when you're of no immediate value. Does she respect you then? Because that's the sign. Machiavelli wrote, "Men judge generally more by the eye than by the hand, for everyone can see but few can feel." Replace men with women, and it still stands. We live in an age of curated appearances. Women say what elevates their image, not what exposes their truth. But the body, the habits, the withdrawals, they never lie. So here's your edge. From this point forward, stop giving weight to what she says. Not completely, but never more than her behavior. Because the feminine doesn't express truth through statements. She expresses it through energy. Ignore the energy, and you'll keep falling for illusions. Observe it, and you'll finally start seeing reality. Words are the currency of civilization, but attraction, that's biology. It doesn't speak English, French, or poetry. It speaks in pupil dilation, in tone shifts, in proximity, and yet most men listen for what's said instead of noticing what's shown. She tells you she's not ready to date, but she's glued to her phone laughing at some guy's story 3 nights a week. She says, "I don't want to ruin the friendship." But she dresses differently around that one other guy. These aren't mixed signals. They're clear signals, disguised by soft speech. Freud believed that much of human behavior is driven by unconscious desires. He called it the id, a primal force that doesn't care about logic, morals, or promises. Now think about that in dating. She may say she's looking for a nice guy, a gentleman, a provider. But her unconscious behavior often chases dominance, mystery, status. It's not deception, it's biology overriding intention. You felt it before. You were saying all the right things. She was nodding, smiling, but the connection was off. Because attraction doesn't spark from agreement. It sparks from polarity. You can't negotiate desire. You can't talk your way into her soul. You can only evoke it through presence. Here's where most men get trapped. They believe that if a woman says she wants something, giving her that thing will win her heart. She says she wants consistency, you text good morning every day. She says she wants deep connection, you pour your emotions out. She says she hates games, you become completely available. And then She loses interest, not because you did something wrong, but because you believed her words and not her reactions. You didn't notice the slow withdrawal, the dead eyes behind the compliments, the shift from "I miss you" to "I've just been busy." Nietzsche wrote, "All things profound love the mask." And in dating, the most common mask is language, polite words, careful words, non-threatening, emotionally sanitized phrases. But desire is not polite. It's chaotic. It's instinctual. It doesn't announce itself. It leaks through her behavior. If you need to ask whether she's into you, she's not. If you need to wonder why her effort feels one-sided, it is. So stop listening to her intentions. Start watching her investments. Is she showing up with energy, time, curiosity, vulnerability? Or is she giving you borrowed words from TikTok therapists and soft-core feminism, while her real attention is somewhere else? You'll feel the truth in her patterns long before she ever admits it out loud. That's where her real language lives. And until you learn to read that silent language, you'll keep losing yourself in the noise of her words. When a man falls for a woman's words, he isn't always hearing her. He's hearing himself. He's projecting. He's not seeing what is. He's seeing what he wants it to be. She says, "I'm not like the others," and he fills in the gaps with fantasy. He overlays loyalty, softness, innocence. He wants to believe, so he does. And that belief becomes a prison. Carl Jung described the Anima, the unconscious feminine image that lives within a man's psyche. It's not her he falls for. It's his own inner projection. He assigns meaning to her words because they echo a familiar dream, a craving for validation, nurturing, connection. But the woman in front of him, she may be nothing like the woman he sees. And this is where pain enters, when her actions break the illusion. Because now you're not just confronting her betrayal, you're confronting the collapse of your own fantasy. She didn't lie, not entirely. You lied to yourself by choosing hope over evidence. You excused the flakiness. You ignored the delay in replies. You laughed off her flirting with others as just being friendly. And when it all fell apart, you didn't just lose her. You lost face with yourself. That's the real wound. Social conditioning teaches women how to speak attraction without feeling it. Influencers, romance novels, pop feminism. They hand her scripts, lines she's rehearsed 100 times, words that make men feel chosen, seen, safe. But when her behavior contradicts those words, most men blame themselves instead of questioning the script. She must have changed her mind. I probably did something wrong. She said she cared. Stop. She may have said it, yes. But if her behavior didn't back it up, it was never real to begin with. Schopenhauer, bleak as ever, wrote, "Compassion is the basis of morality. But in desire, morality is suspended. In the game of attraction, people don't act ethically. They act instinctively. Her words might be civil, her behavior primal. If you're measuring her sincerity by what she says, you're playing chess against a mirror." This isn't about blaming women. It's about liberating yourself from illusion. She doesn't need to be a villain for her behavior to betray you. All it takes is your blindness to her patterns. So if you're tired of the emotional whiplash, if you're done being confused, then you must learn this discipline. Judge nothing by what is said. Judge everything by what is consistently done, because words are smoke. Behavior is fire. You feel a rush, butterflies, the thrill of her attention. But ask yourself, is this chemistry or chaos? Is it genuine compatibility, or is it trauma dressing itself up as attraction? Most men confuse intensity with depth. They hear sweet words, feel a dopamine spike, and call it love. But often, what you're calling chemistry is just your nervous system reacting to unpredictability. She says, "I've never felt this way before," but her actions mirror those who left you broken. So, which are you going to trust? The words that stimulate you, or the behavior that shapes you? Intermittent reinforcement is the most powerful psychological trap. Give someone rewards at random intervals, attention, affection, validation, and their brain starts craving it like a drug. This isn't love. This is gambling with your self-worth. She's warm one day, cold the next. She tells you how much she missed you, right after ignoring you for 3 days. She promises commitment while leaving doors open, and because you're addicted to her words, you ignore her rhythm. She's not loving you. She's keeping you hooked. Think of 2 fires. One burns clean, steady, warm. It's controlled, safe. It invites you closer. The other flares violently, then smolders. It demands oxygen, consumes fast, and leaves ash behind. Most men chase the second one. They call it passion, but it's just instability. You want to trust her words when she says, "I need you." But when her behavior screams, "I don't respect you," which one do you believe? Modern media romanticizes emotional chaos. We're told that drama means desire, that hot and cold behavior is just how women are. But here's the truth. When a woman is genuinely into you, she doesn't leave you guessing. She's consistent. She invests. She moves toward you, not away. No cryptic messages, no breadcrumb affection, no lip service. Everything else? Performance. Machiavelli warned that people are driven by appearance and gain. So ask yourself, does her behavior serve you, or does it serve her image, her ego, her convenience? Stop rewarding women who offer words without substance. She says she wants to see you, but doesn't follow through. That's a no, not a maybe, not a test, not a mistake. A no, delivered through behavior. You want clarity. Stop reacting to her charm. Start tracking her consistency. She can compliment you, call you her soulmate, make you feel irreplaceable. But if she disappears when you're vulnerable, if she's never present when you need support, if she speaks love and acts distant, then what you have isn't real. It's performance, it's projection, it's poison in a perfume bottle. And until you stop confusing that for love, you'll stay stuck in the cycle. You think it's a conversation, she thinks it's a test. Not consciously, not maliciously, but instinctively, evolutionarily. Because feminine energy doesn't seek words, it seeks strength. And strength isn't declared, it's revealed. So when she says, "It's fine," but pulls away, when she says, "I don't mind," but goes cold afterward, it's not confusion, it's a test. And if you fail to read her behavior, you fail the test. Across evolutionary history, women were the selective gatekeepers. One wrong choice could risk her survival, her child's future, her tribe's stability. So what evolved wasn't conscious deception, it was subconscious filtering. She'll say what keeps the peace, what sounds nice, what flatters. But underneath, she's watching. How do you react under pressure? Do you take her words literally, or do you read the energy behind them? Are you led by emotion, or do you stand firm in reality? This is the feminine test, not out of cruelty, out of design. Men are raised to value logic, facts, clarity. So when a woman says something, we assume she means it, that words equal truth. But attraction doesn't operate in logic. It lives in emotion, rhythm, power dynamics. She might say she values honesty, but if your vulnerability triggers her instability, her actions will recoil. She may say she wants an emotional man, but reward the one who controls his frame. That contradiction isn't deceit, it's duality. The feminine doesn't want a man who says, "I'm strong." She wants a man who doesn't collapse when tested. Nietzsche wrote, "A thing explained is not destroyed." Understanding female psychology doesn't mean resenting it. It means seeing past moral judgments, past right or wrong, and choosing sovereignty. You don't punish the storm for raining. You build a shelter or you walk away. So when she says she's not seeing anyone else, but you sense distance, distraction, disconnection, don't argue, observe, decide, act. From now on, reframe everything she says through this lens. Does her behavior support or sabotage her words? If the answer is sabotage, the words are irrelevant. Trusting her words without observing her patterns is how kings become pawns. You must become a reader of actions, not a collector of compliments. That's how you reclaim power. That's how you stop being manipulated by politeness or passive suggestion. The world will always encourage men to be more sensitive, more open, more accommodating. But the truth is this: a man who leads with emotional literacy without behavioral discernment is lost. You don't have to be cold. You don't have to play games. But you do have to watch what people do, especially when their words seem perfect. Because in the jungle of modern relationships, trust isn't given to the tongue. It's earned by the pattern. She says she wants a man who listens. She says she values softness, sensitivity, vulnerability. And yet, she keeps chasing the ones who don't offer those things. Why? Because the feminine psyche is torn between two realities: the modern, socially conditioned self who speaks in ideals, and the ancient, instinctual self who moves based on survival, status, and strength. You hear the first one, you feel the second one. Modern psychology encourages communication, but evolutionary psychology reminds us, communication isn't the final word, action is. Her nervous system responds to power, to presence, to stability under pressure. She might say, "I don't want someone controlling," but her actions show she's drawn to the man who sets clear boundaries. She might say, "I want equality," but she tests you like she's searching for a leader. That contradiction confuses you until you understand this. She's wearing a modern mask, but dancing to an ancient drumbeat. Platforms like Instagram and TikTok have trained women and men to say things that sound right, to posture, to signal virtue, to go viral. But the more performative the culture becomes, the more behavior becomes the only signal worth watching. A woman might post quotes about self-love and alignment, then chase a man who treats her like an option. She might preach loyalty, but still keep 10 doors half open in her DMs. And when you call it out, she'll say, "That's not what it looks like." Exactly, because it's not about what it looks like, it's about what it is. Schopenhauer said, "The world is my representation." She doesn't act based on what she says she believes. She acts based on what her subconscious represents as safety, pleasure, or status. Her mind might say, "This man is good for me," but if her body isn't drawn to him, her behavior won't follow through. And you? If you're still trusting the declaration over the demonstration, you're trapped in illusion. You don't need to decode her every word. You don't need to psychoanalyze every mixed message. You just need to observe. Does her investment match her promises? Does she show up when it's inconvenient? Does she act as if you matter when no one is watching? That's the litmus test, not the captions, not the sweet texts, the pattern. If you want to stop feeling betrayed, confused, discarded, you have to let go of the fantasy that words are sacred, because in today's dating world, they're not. Their currency, their costume, their convenience. But behavior is sacred. Behavior is scripture. Behavior is truth. And if you want peace, you have to become a disciple of action, not language. So now you see it. It was never about what she said. It was always about what you chose to believe. The pain you feel, it wasn't just heartbreak. It was the collision between illusion and reality, between the man you thought you were and the truth you ignored. But here's the gift inside that pain: clarity, power, freedom. Because once you stop chasing words, you start seeing patterns. Carl Jung called it individuation, the process of becoming whole by confronting your unconscious illusions. You were raised to seek approval, to appease, to listen, to trust. But trust without discernment is not virtue, it's self-abandonment. And every time you believed a woman's words over her actions, you betrayed yourself. Now, you stop. From here on out, you don't just hear her. You watch her. And you don't argue, beg, or decode. You decide. This channel isn't here to teach you how to get the girl. It's here to help you reclaim your sight, to show you the games, the patterns, the hidden power dynamics no one warned you about, to deconstruct modern illusions and reconstruct the man beneath them, not a bitter man, not a jaded one, but a man who sees clearly. Because once you stop being seduced by words, you become immune to manipulation. So what do you do next? You slow down, you observe, you make behavior your compass, not charm, not confession, not compliments. You stop rewarding lip service and start honoring consistency. You surround yourself with men who think, who reflect, who see. Because men who stay isolated keep repeating the same wounds. But those who build together, who share knowledge, insight, and truth, they break cycles. They form brotherhood. Maybe you were betrayed. Maybe you were discarded after giving your soul. Maybe her actions made a mockery of her words. But you survived. And now you rise, not with revenge, but with awareness. This isn't about hating women. It's about finally loving yourself enough to stop being deceived. From this moment on, don't argue with behavior. Accept it. Don't confuse attraction with attention. Don't trade your clarity for comfort, because the most dangerous lie is the one that sounds like love but moves like loss. And the man who no longer trusts words, only patterns, he can no longer be controlled. If this spoke to you, don't just scroll. Don't just agree in silence. Like, subscribe, share this with a man who's still trapped in the cycle, and support the mission using the link in the description below.